Happy's Crypto, back again for episode number 18 on the evening of the 11th and morning of the 12th of August. This is my trading journals, a review of how I went in my session last night. For people that have followed or do follow my videos, I am in the middle of trying to double my demo account, and this is just a review of how it went last night. So, bit of a tough session last night, just a really good example of what not to do, particularly the first part, and then the second part actually took a pretty good trade. So overall though, finished up with a huge loss of $1.18. So, you know, overall just a good learning night ultimately. Just a full transparency, I trade on a platform called Tradeovate. I am trading a demo account. I started my account balance with $10,000 just over 3 weeks ago now. Current balance is $14,874, so a bit of a rough week this week. However, continue to learn and enjoy the process as I learn through this. So let's go and have a look at what I did in the session last night. So this is a session we're talking about. Oh, this area here. I live in Australia, so I trade the New York Open. So for me, this is really the area that I've got interest in. That's where I tend to focus my trades. So let's go and have a look at what I did. I'm on the 15-minute chart at the moment. I actually had marked out my buys for the week at the start of the week, so I've got an interest in thinking price is going to be drawn up to this level. I got pretty close on that session overnight, and before the actual session open, I do this, and this is something that I've been getting in the habit of doing. I am learning as this process. However, I draw this little trend line, this one here. I just put Thursday on there. That starts at midnight New York time. I'll just change this to make sure I'm looking at New York time. And I just draw it out to the end of that session. So it's just something I throw in there right at. So when I open my charts, the chart's usually about this area. That's the time when I actually open the charts up to have a look, and I'll mark that line off, and I mark it all the way through there. So it just gives me a bit of an anchor point that I look at. It is something I picked up watching the ICT the mentorship series on YouTube, so it's worth having a look at that if you're not already checked it out. And what I also do is I mark the high of the previous high in the 15-minute and the previous low. So those are two areas that I marked out, and just to keep an eye on. So this in theory is your trading range that we want to keep an eye on, and yeah, that's how I start the session. So this is a bit of a shocker, to be brutally honest. I had a bit of a tough one, and I'll show you exactly what not to do in regards to what over trading looks like. So if you scroll right back, I've gone right down to the 1 minute, which tends to be the chart I default back to most of the time. And let's see how I went. I took way too many trades. One of the things I may try tonight, and I'll just keep an overlook on the price, is I totally overtraded this hour before market open. So this here, just over trading, thinking that the setup's happening, and it just got chopped up, to be honest. And every trade I took in that first session, it seems to be a tradition of mine, it was the wrong way. And it's a nice thing about reviewing your trades is it actually allows you to think back without any emotion once you review what your logic was and whether or not the logic still held true. And when I review these first few trades, it really fell outside of the scope of my my normal thought process. So I'm thinking price is going to head this direction. However, just note that we're at the top of the range, although the price was still edging up as the market got to this 8:30 a.m. time in New York. So it had a bit of a jump at 8:30, and then this nice big retracement. So I don't know why, but I convinced myself that, you know, we're at the top of the range here, and I think, you know, we're probably going to go this direction. So, I mean, ultimately I did, in theory, get the direction right. However, I didn't give the price enough room to move, and I took a loss. So as an example, and I don't really know why I took this trade, except for this. This is the theory. Price had come up. We've got a market structure break here, and we've got a fair value gap that had formed. I took the buy 4 contracts at that point, thinking we're going to do this and move that direction. I had my stop loss set here, so I didn't, you know, it wasn't a huge amount of heat here, $156 loss, and it of course came down and took me out. Obviously, in retrospect, if you have a look and see what happened, price actually came back up here and just cracked above that little level there. However, it was the wrong direction. I really should have waited. If I was looking for a buy, I should have waited for price to come down to here and, you know, attack this little liquidity zone here. If price had come down to here and had done that same price action, it was probably a really good setup. So I was just on the wrong end of the market, so I should have just sat back and watched and done nothing there. If anything, there was a potential sell if I'd seen the price move. There's a fair value gap here. So, in theory, that's a good sell to go that direction, which is interestingly exactly what I did. So as the price moved on, I've got a sell here, and sure enough, I changed my logic, which is just probably an example of a novice trader. I took a sell there. I had my stop loss just at this level, and sure enough, it hit my stop loss. I took a big hit there, 312. For me, that's a pretty big loss. So that was a bit frustrating. I actually think this was a better logic than this setup. However, I should have really done this analysis. So if you imagine, I'm looking at this, that there with that sell there with a stop loss there, I'm risking 312. Probably should have scaled that back to 2 contracts and take a $150 hit, and that probably would have been a more acceptable trade. However, there's not a huge amount of scope here to move this way, so it's a bit silly, and it's okay. I'm not going to call myself silly. It's just you live and learn, and I'm just trying to keep positive self-talk. So not a bad setup in regards to the logic here. However, I should have scaled that back a little bit, not to risking so much as I did. This next trade, just total over trading. There's really nothing going here. For whatever reason, I'd felt that, what the reason being is that we'd actually had a previous high. We'd broke that previous high, so we've already swept out the liquidity zone. Price is coming down here. We've had a market structure break here, and so I was looking for a fair value gap, which was here. So, in theory, we've got a reasonable spot. I actually was going to take a sell here. However, I missed it, and I got in here. I then also added to it. So this is kind of a bit of a flawed logic, because really what I should be doing is that's a fair value gap that I should be looking to try and take a trade. So if price came back up here, that's a valid entry. And if you look back, what happens? That's your entry for a sell. And that would have been a really nice trade. Interestingly though, I possibly wouldn't have gotten that fully because it didn't come down and take this liquidity. However, if you draw a quick fib on here, if you did get in at this level and you drew your range out to the bottom of here and looked at the 50%, that's a really nice trade. That would have been a cracker actually. So it's a shame I didn't take that. And you could have actually had a reasonably tight stop loss on that trade as well. So that really just continues to tell me, need to be patient. Just wait, and I'd waited, and I could have got a really nice trade there. I wouldn't have given away this, so I took a sell here. I added to it because there's another fair value gap that formed here, so I added 2 contracts to this. And this is crazy times. Equities open at 9:30 a.m. New York, and price just went a bit nuts. And of course, I got stopped because I placed my stop loss here. Not a huge take, not a huge loss. And of course, as you watch it, it only just barely goes above that and then cracks down. So, once again, in retrospect, if I'd taken this, stop loss in theory should be up here, or possibly a better spot to have my stop loss there. Would have been risking a bit more, so you could have scaled that back to 2 or 3 contracts, but would have given this a bit of scope. So, still in theory, not a bad option. I could have added to the position or there, so I could have had maybe open 2 there, open another 2 up here, and then I would have had an average entry around this point, and nice trade. Anyway, live and learn. So, logic's still valid here. We definitely broke this, took some liquidity, wait for your setup, take a little short trade here. It would have been a nice one. And let's see what happened next. So this is overtrading 101. Here we go. So price came down. It didn't clear this liquidity out here. So really, this was an invalid setup. I was just, logic doesn't make any sense. I probably got excited because I've got this big market structure shift, big shift down. Remembering that market's only been open for a few minutes from the US equities market open, so you always see this huge movement or huge volatility at that time. So I go, hey, look at this. We've got a big market structure shift. We've got a fair value gap formed. Yay, let's get excited and jump in. Took a trade here. Let's go short, thinking it's going to maybe clear out this and head that direction. Remembering though, I said right at the start, my bias is that way. So I've traded against my bias, and I'm actually taking a short at the bottom of this range. not really what we're trying to learn here in ICT. So I'm trying to apply the ICT concepts. Luckily for me though, because I wasn't overly confident, I actually placed my stop just above this point and I got stopped out fairly quickly. So I took a $128 hit. So at that point, I was thinking maybe I've lost it here. Luckily for me, I kept looking at the market. So what I saw here, and I just had this feeling that, okay, prices cleared out both sides. Come up here, taking this as well. I've still got my general overarching long bias, so come down here, taking this, and prices moving up, and we've got this fair value gap here. And I've got this market structure shift from this level. So for me there, kind of breaking my rules a little bit here when I took this trade. However, I just collect it. I just like, you know what? I like the fact that it's come down here. It spent a bit of time here. I'm going to take a fairly big position here. I took 8 contracts at that level, which is this. And I didn't actually place a stop, but I kept an eye on it. And I told myself, if my price comes below this, I'm going to cut this trade. And luckily for me, it just ripped in a really good direction. Interestingly enough, it didn't quite come up and hit this target that I'd marked on my chart. It wasn't quite this imbalance that I identified for quite a while ago, but if you go back in time and have a look at that, you'll actually notice that that's a particular point of interest. Let me have a quick squeeze. Let's see if we can see this. So 13,581. If we go back to the 1 hour for a second, let's have a look to see what we've got here. And way back here, you've got a 1 hour chart. Price is hitting that top twice. So 13,581 for me. If the price comes out, it's going to clear this liquidity zones here. So I was fairly hopeful, or an expectation it may well do that. Interestingly though, when you look at the price action, it didn't actually come up to that level, quite that level. So I was in this trade. I had 8 positions or 8 contracts open. My first target was to clear out. So I'm in here. First target was to clear that. It cleared that. Took 2 contracts out. Price reversed a little bit, and I was starting to go, oh, here we go, I've done my dough again. But I said, no, let's just hold it. I can quickly cut this trade if it comes close to my entry. And then it came up again. I said, you know what, let's just lock another 2 contracts in here. Price came up again, reversed. I sort of had set myself for my own little target. If it comes drops below here, cut the trade. Didn't, so I let it ride a bit. Once it came above this level, I took another 1 contract out, and I decided to let this last one ride to see if we would go and capture the zone. It didn't quite get there, and then it just started to break away, and I kept on feeling like it might do this. One of the things I was watching here, and I didn't do it, however, in my self-talk in my head, I was saying this to myself: if price does this, if it breaks below one of these here, that's a good time to cut this trade or cut the last contract. So realistically, that would have been a really good spot to cut that, or to take the last profit out, and I would have locked in another $150 odd. However, I just let it ride because I just thought, you know what, I've locked in a decent position here. If it comes back and down into this area, definitely cut it. But came right down. Now, as soon as I saw this bump up, I just cut it at that point. So there you go. That was the last trade. So overall, one pretty decent trade in amongst of all this choppiness. But there was definitely some good logic here, and I really like the logic of this short, but that was a fair value gap I'd need to be patient for. So lesson number 1, be much more patient, stop this over trading rubbish, and if there's not really a valid setup, just sit on your hands and let the market play out. So there you go. That was Thursday's session. We will be entering Friday's session in a couple of hours time. So I'll be once again trading the market tonight. And I hope you're enjoying my little reviews of how I'm going with my trading journals. And there you go, Chappie's Crypto, a huge $1.18 loss for that session. But there you go. I hope you're enjoying, and check out ICT's mentorship series on YouTube. I think you'll really enjoy it. And until next time, it's Chappie's Crypto. Bye for now.
Live your life within the moment, and don't go wait until the morning. You never know when it is over. All that I know is we'll get older. So let us dance this night away.